As an author, Fox News anchor Bret Baier seeks to bring historical figures like Patrick Henry and Paul Revere to life. This time around, in To Rescue the Constitution, he focuses on George Washington, who, according to Baier, is the only one who could have convinced a ragtag army to fight the British and believe they could win.
He had this ability to fire them up, and he had an ability in imposing this belief that liberty was worth fighting for. These guys, some of them didn't have shoes. They had bloody feet in the middle of Valley Forge in the winter, and yet they overtook the British forces.
What was it about George Washington, about his character, his person, that was so unique that, you know, was the glue that held everything together?
George Washington was this stoic figure who was well respected, and in his silence, he found common ground with the different disparate groups to be able to link everybody together for the good of the country.
As a man of faith, Washington also believed God was on his side.
You look at the miracle of bringing together all of these people and ratifying this document around a very tense time, that had to be a divine intervention of some kind.
And the fact that he even survived, because he wasn't just commander-in-chief from afar. I mean, he was on the front lines with his men, and he never got injured.
Yeah, and that also is pretty divine intervention, you would think. You know, it's a lesson for our times that you don't have to be the best, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to hustle and have faith.
And that belief helped Washington and his army to defeat the British. But even with a Declaration of Independence, the newly formed United States of America appeared anything but united or independent.
That time right after the war, it was really split, and people were wondering whether the U.S., which was not even the United States at that point, was going to go back to British rule.
Despite all this, Baier says George Washington held the country together, and in 1787 came the drafting and signing of the U.S. Constitution.
It's a unique document in the world, and there are a lot of people who say it needs to be adjusted and doesn't work right, but if you look really closely, it's held the test of time, and it has been a living and breathing document that enabled our country to operate in liberty.
What can our leaders in Washington, and really what can all of us learn from George Washington?
Dissent is okay. Don't be afraid of what feels like a very partisan time of different opinions, but listen first and try to find some common ground. Washington did that better than anyone.
And your book is called To Rescue the Constitution, and you believe that George Washington was the rescuer?
He was the rescuer. He's the reason that we have a Constitution. He is the one that essentially got it across the finish line. And without George Washington, we wouldn't have a country.
Wendy, Griffith, CBN News, Washington.